We all try and keep track of moments in our lives, but often these moments vanish. Now, some of them have been recovered, and we're about to get real lost. Hey everybody, John Tenney here. Welcome to the second episode of Real Lost, where I dig through a box of reel-to-reel recordings that I have, which are 50 to 60 years old, and I play them for you in their entirety. I pick them at random, and I never know what I'm going to get until I'm actually listening to it. You get to hear it as well as I do in its full entirety. Any edits that I make are simply to get rid of skips in the tape. These tapes are crumbling as I digitize them, so I just wanted to get them down in a perfect format without losing anything, so they can continue to exist and persist in our reality. If you listened to the last show, then you heard a channeling session, which was being done by an unknown channeler. We thought it might be Hugh Lynn Cayce, the son of Edgar Cayce, being done for a Mr. Owen Welch. Well, strangely enough, and it's just strange how everything works and coincidences and the universe, but I reached into a tape, I pulled out another unlabeled reel-to-reel cassette. They're all unlabeled, I don't know what's on them. And this week's episode is actually Owen's wife getting a channeling session done. So it's the same channeler as before. And if you read some of the notes about this episode, you might see that I'm a little bit waffling on whether or not it's actually Hugh Lynn Cayce doing it or a different channeler. There are a number of different organizations that Owen and his wife used to belong to. The Rosicrucians, A.I.M, A.U.M, a lot of metaphysical organizations and clubs that they belong to, so it's possible that it could be Hugh Lynn Cayce, but I'm still not exactly sure. There are some little moments that we'll talk about after you listen to the tape. But here is the second episode, and this is channeling her health, and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy it.
The time is 9:31 a.m., Phoenix, Arizona. The conductor, Barbara Gustave. You will have before you the inquiring minds of those present in the room, and especially the inquiring mind and body of Mrs. Virginia Frances Welch. You will also have before you the soul experiences and the former expressions in the earth of this individual, and the needs, opportunities, obstacles, and challenges to this individual at the present time. On the basis of this which you have before you, you will give information initially which may be of help or significance to this individual, and following this, whether it is given or not, you will answer questions as they are asked in accord with the needs and the suggestions involved. The date of birth, September 10th, 1910. The place of birth, Syracuse, New York.
Read the full name again.
Mrs. Virginia Frances Welch.
Yes, we have the request as given. Now we have the inquiring mind and body indicated in the request. We are ready for questions at this time.
Yes. From a spiritual, mental, and emotional standpoint, what is the cause of my condition? She gives a brief description of her condition in one of her letters. She had digestive disturbances since she was very young, and now the doctors can't seem to pinpoint the trouble or do very much about it, and she has been getting steadily worse.
We have the conditions that are present in the mind and body. This is karmic to some extent, that is to say, it is associated with emotions. Is karma any other than emotions? Indeed, it is emotions, stored at the levels of the unconscious mind or the soul mind, relating to the glands and hence creating patterns of reaction in the body itself in this instance as to the digestive. Now, the influences are multiple here that affect the condition. Since an early time, we have had some of the influences that have affected the inefficiency of the cortex in the adrenal gland. This is influenced to some extent the circulation within the digestive tract and has cut down the circulation to some extent, constricting the vessels rather than allowing same to function properly. Although this has not been a major influence, it in part has its activity and hence meditation, the release of things that are emotional at times, and the use of the body and mind creatively, such as in an artistic manner, would give some release of these patterns, and hence should be undertaken. Further than this, there are the conditions that are an influence to the digestive. You see, these are complex, none extremely severe, but one contributing in part to the ill effects of the others, and thus the difficulty in pinpointing same. The balance of the acid and alkaline forces within the digestive tract has been disturbed, in part through the condition already indicated, by improper absorption of food substances or ingestion, so-called, of food substances. This creating at times a putrefaction or reaction of acid conditions and excess content of bacterium, as may be determined by analysis of the stool. Further than this, we see in the intestinal tract, to the digestive portions in the upper areas, a lack of the proper enzyme balance, not only caused in part by those things indicated, but by the very breaking down to some extent of the tissues responsible for producing same. Then some manipulation is needed in the 12th dorsal, also in the 8th or 9th dorsal. At the emotional and the spiritual level, or the so-called karmic causes of sin, the extreme years of anxiousness in the life immediate before this. We need not go into it, except the entity was very anxious to achieve a number of things which never were fully achieved, resulting in frustrations and emotional patterns that are carried into the present lifetime. Some hereditary factors have created a susceptibility to this weakness. On the other hand, it is the underlying emotional factors that have chosen same, or been attracted to such hereditary pattern. What to do to aid this body? Manipulators indicated the 8th or the 9th and the 12th dorsal, occasionally. Also, utilize castor oil packs frequently, for 35 minutes at a time, in the region of the pancreas and spleen and liver, and just lower, down at least to the region of the navel. These packs should be utilized 2 or 3 times per week for quite a while to come. They can aid in working wonders. Further than this, the body should utilize certain protomorphogen substances. Protomorphogen of pituitary. We are to take with meals 2 of these per day. At first there are some reactions of a slight sickness to same. Do not be disturbed. There will probably be a slight histamine reaction here in the body. Further than this, there is also indicated every second day for 2 weeks, then discontinuing for 2 weeks, then continuing for 2 weeks, then discontinuing for 2 weeks, then continuing for 2 weeks, then stopping. 1 protomorphogen of adrenal, 1 capsule of same. Such protomorphogens Photomorphogens of various types may be obtained through the Vitamin Products Company or standard process laboratories. The body should utilize such photomorphogens as indicated. As should the pituitary continue to take this as indicated for a period of at least 90 days, only gradually letting off. These should influence or stimulate the production of enzymes indirectly through the function or control of the pituitary, influencing not only the adrenal to some extent, but other areas of the castor oil packs are important. Further than this, we recommend that the body should take enzyme tablets, or at least chew enzyme chewing gum that contain various enzymes, digestive enzymes, as a temporary aid to relief. Or where we have these, we will temporarily clear up by administering from outside the various enzymes some of the confusion and acid conditions and putrefaction in the tract. Then, these other means of applications can gradually take their effects, being added by same, gradually letting off of the external taking orally of the enzymes indicated. What is more than this, the body should take some exercises for this area. Here is one that is very important for the body. Standing, bend the knees slightly, placing the thighs on the knees, and thus the butt is extended backward. Thus a balance is made by the bending of the knees, the bending of the hips, and so forth. Then, as the body is in this position, exhale deeply, holding the exhalation. While the exhalation is held, and hence the diaphragm is raised, and thus the abdominal area drawn inward. While again, as indicated, holding this exhalation, contract and release rapidly the abdominal muscles, the paired abdominal muscles, churning the entire abdominal viscera for as long as you can reasonably. Then release. Relax for a few moments and repeat. Relax for a little longer and repeat again. Do this series of 3 such churnings, even several times per day. It will work wonders. Furthermore, use prayer to help in the emotions. Confessatory prayers such as this. Heavenly Father, help me to know that there is no injustice in this world or in this body, but that the circumstances I find within my body, through the lack of proper balance in my glands, are only a reflection of the lack of balance in the activities, the affinities, and the emotions of my soul. Help me to overcome in me my anxiousness, my over-assertiveness at times. Help me to find more love and more peace, and show it to those around me. And as it is in accord with thy will, take this body and make it better for thy service. Amen. Do these things, and the body will receive considerable help, as well as the mind. Study the dream experiences. Next.
Is the profession I now follow the best for me, or should I make a change of some kind?
Stay in that you're in at the present time.
What self-help can I follow to better understand of death of those close to me?
First pray, Heavenly Father, as I know thy eternal being, help me to know the eternal being in each of those who are near me and in myself. Hold not back the door of my self-knowing, but as it is thy will, thy love, let me see inside myself and know the eternal nature. For by the entry of the body or the leaving is but a moving to the other door of God's experience in the world. Then help me, O Lord, to find and know that peace and acceptance, and grant the ability of others to walk through that door unafraid. Help me to accept that doorway unafraid. Help me to know that I have entered it and walked out it again many times. So as I see the cycle of life and what men call death active around me, help me to know that this is but the exhalation and the inhalation of the spiritual being of man into the experience of the world. And one is as necessary to the life of the spirit as the other. Help me to know this and understand it. God, thy servant Jesus has said, perfect love casts out all fear. Help me to love enough that I may let others pass beyond thy other door, that I may accept the freedom thereof, as much as we find the freedoms in this world which thou hast granted. Take this mind with thy love and free it now. And all these bonds of fears instilled, and lift me to thy love. Amen. Hence it is the beginning to pray for the release of sin. Read such books as those that give the evidence of reincarnation, those the evidence of survival on the basis of claimed memories of former existences, and others as may be available to the Association for Research and Enlightenment in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Study these things and pray in the manner indicated, trusting that God's love will free you, and if you'll merely let go, it will. And even your dream experiences, if you'll begin to remember them, within 1 year will show you enough evidence of survival in the mind's limits beyond time and space that you will no longer need or find these fears present if you will write them, if you will remember them, if you will study them, the dreams. See?
Yes.
Next.
How is karma involved in these problems that seem to affect my well-being at this time?
The karma is that involved in emotions of the activities of the world and this and other lifetimes, you have forgotten the spiritual nature of self. And thus the memory runs back to the emotional nature of the world rather than to the peace and the spiritual nature of self. It is merely a sign. How may this be overcome? By grace, by expressing love to others, by meditation, by prayer. See?
Yes.
Next.
Please please give me advice on the spiritual, mental, and emotional attitudes that will help toward a better life.
Try to be less aggressive in some ways. Try to be quieter and listen to the things others have to say and offer, and always having to make suggestions yourself. Release this. Sometimes you feel that others around you do not have the capability to take a certain responsibility to do a certain thing in the right way. You tend to want to give suggestions yourself, or to influence in various ways. Let go and let God. Have faith in them also and their abilities. Their ability to grow spiritually from failure as well as to success, and have faith in that in yourself. Do these things and you'll overcome these problems. Are there final questions?
Yes. Is it possible that my concern over the health and welfare of others has an effect on my own physical health, emotions, etc., being included?
Very surely. That is why the dream work, for the reasons indicated, the meditation and the prayer that I've given are so needed, not only because they will help others, for you have a telepathic attunement with their minds, whether you know it or not, but because they will help self. Attuning to the spiritual nature, grace will enter the body and take over where these old karmic patterns of emotions lead into physical distress. Here the body mind is the builder, as well as in any plane where the spirit enters, be it unconscious mind or conscious mind. And Thus it is here that you must begin in your own attitudes. Indeed, they affect the body so much, but apply physically the things given, keep the attitudes of prayer and seeking given, and there will be much healing for this body. As the mind releases these things. Next.
Would it be possible at this time for the source to give a life seal for this individual?
The life seal is not needed at the present time, for in the experience of this entity, what is needed to apply the things indicated first, to release the emotions by prayer, by meditation, by working with the dreams, to apply these things physically and taking the time to do so, diligently, daily, taking the effort to do so. That the body may feel better and the mind feel better. Then if there are other things that are sought later, the entity may seek through such channels as necessary. See?
Yes.
Are there no final questions here?
There are no final questions.
We are through here for the time.
You will now leave the body and mind of Mrs. Virginia Frances Welch. The time is now 9:51. May I change the tape at this time?
Yes.
And there you go, Channeling Her Health, episode 2. I hope you enjoyed it. As mentioned in the beginning, the question of whether or not it's Hugh Lynn Cayce from A.R.E. or Ray Sanford from A.U.M, the channeler, is kind of confused in this episode because the conductor who's talking to the channel at one point talks about the source as being where the channeler is getting the information from. And this is a name that Ray Sanford used when he was doing his channeling sessions. But they also mention that they're in Phoenix, Arizona, doing the channeling session, which is where Hugh Lynn Cayce had a chapter of A.R.E. So again, it's unclear who the actual channeler is. I think it's really interesting, though. There's a lot of weird naturopathic and holistic cures that are in this. This one isn't so focused on past lives and karma as Owen's was. This one's a little bit more relaxed. I'm actually not even sure at this point if Owen would still be alive. This is a few years later after his session, and he's not mentioned in it. Granted, she wasn't mentioned in his, but you never know. And I do know that these two tapes, and specifically that I got them at an estate sale at Owen's house at the Welch home in the city that I live in, which is Royal Oak, Michigan. And I'll tell you a little side fun fact is Owen was a naturopathic healer. He was a doctor of sorts who performed a lot of what people would consider quackery to help people cure their ills. And when I went to the estate sale at his house, I was really bummed out because the basement had been filled with all of these doodads and gadgets from the 1920s and 30s, Oregon accumulators and brainwave monitors and flashing lights and giant blinking brass and wood machines. And I was hoping to get a hold of them. But the people who ran the estate sale, they were so large and they were so unable to move them. They told me that those machines, they actually deconstructed them and threw them away before the estate sale happened, which was a real bummer that stuff is now lost forever. But we have this recording, and we have a little bit of the Welch's lives, in a sense, saved here forever and digitized now. So I hope you enjoyed it. That was the second episode. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or desires, you can email me at john@weirdlectures.com. And I will see you next week for a new tape. Who knows what it'll be? I don't think that the Welch has had any children, so I think these are the end of the Welch channeling sessions, but you never know. I will see you next week on Real Lost. Thanks for listening. Bye.